What's going on? I imagine you are here because you want to figure out how to speedrun Snake Force. It's not that hard, but there are some things here that you're going to need to know how to do. You can download the game on Steam. Just go to the store, type in Snake Force, free. Obviously that's the store page, that's what this is. So when you first get it, you're basically going to see this. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to unlock this red character I've got right now. And I'll explain how to do that here in a second. But when you first get in, you're not going to see this mode. And you're not going to see this mode, and FPS is going to be what I'm showing everybody how to speedrun today. The first thing you need to do to unlock this mode, so that you can actually do the speedrun I'm showing you, is you're going to need to go over here, go to mission 1, and then beat the entire game. Don't worry about how long that'll take. The game takes like 10 minutes to beat. Just go through, beat the game, learn the mechanic here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's not hard. Be sure you enjoy yourself. Once you do that, you will unlock two things. You'll unlock this game mode, badass, and you'll also unlock the Keanu Reeves skin. At that point, personally, I say use the James Bond just because he's cool and you should give it a try, but then you're gonna need to go in and beat the badass mode. When you go in and you beat the badass mode, that is when you will unlock the FPS mode. Finally, we actually have the mode that I'm showing you guys how to speedrun today. I'm going to quickly show you how to get the red guy, because this is really confusing and there wasn't really any guides on how to get this red guy, and you need him for the speedrun because he has a few special abilities that make him faster than these other two. To unlock this red character, I'm going to show you like a few of the places I know he spawns. Basically what happens is you'll actually see this model out in the game, and there's a few different places he can spawn. The first place he can spawn is in this area, so just walk in here, and if nothing happens, then he's not there. Alright, so the next place he'll spawn is on this level. This is the second level, and he'll spawn if you run around here for a minute. So if you run out here for a second and he doesn't spawn, he is not here. And obviously he is not here for me. So this level is another one of the levels where he can spawn. If he does spawn on this level, it's going to be down over here-ish. So just run through these areas, and if he is not spawning for you, chances are he is not here either. Now unfortunately all this is RNG, and this is the last place I know of him spawning. So this is a video of what it'll look like when the guy actually spawns and when you're fighting him. I'm not sure if you have to be using the Keanu Reeves character to make it work, but one thing you should know is you'll see that this guy is in bullet time. It's basically just moves the game into slow motion, and you get into bullet time by holding down your shift key, and I recommend being in bullet time for this entire fight as it makes it a lot easier. And whenever you feel like you're going to get hit, probably a good time to jump. But yeah, you just kill a guy. That's how you unlock him. If you do die, just restart, he'll be in the same spot. So one of the most important things to note is that in this game, the fastest way to move is actually to simply hold the W key. Just holding the W key is the fastest way to move in this game. Being in the air, so if you jump, it doesn't matter. You'll have the same movement speed as long as you're holding just the W key. I'm not sure if running diagonally makes your speed worse. I don't think it does. I think it's the same as holding W, but I didn't really thoroughly test it. If you're just holding A or D, so left or right, and I didn't test backwards, but I assume this is also the case with that, it is slower than going forwards, so you move fastest forwards. Due to the fact that the speed cap in this game is trivially easy to achieve because all you have to do is press your W key, that means that the only way you're ever going to gain or lose time is if you're not taking the optimal path. So what do I mean by the optimal path? The optimal path is essentially the idea that given we can only move quickly in straight lines, we want to make the shortest straight lines possible to our goal. So for example, the fastest way around these blocks would be to go through here, around the edge of this one, and to our goal. But we don't want to take a curvy path to do that, because whenever we're making these curves, we're slowing down and we're wasting movement. We don't want to be slowing down or wasting movement in a speed run. So the solution to that is, since we can only go quickly in straight lines, we want to go in a straight line to as close to this corner as we can to get around it. And then once we're here, we want to, as quickly as we can, adjust so that we can get around at this next corner right here. So we would then adjust our angle so we can get to this corner. And now we want to hug the edge of this as close as we can, because there's no penalty for turning. The only penalty we get is for having curvy movements. As long as we're going in straight lines, we're not losing time. So we want to maintain these straight movements, and then we want to make the fastest path to the edge of this goal. I did a bad job of drawing that. It'd be more like that would be the shortest line possible. Distance wise, this is the shortest path we can feasibly take from here to here while going in straight lines. So you're going to want to memorize the routing of the speedrun. I put the world record as of the making of this video into the description. That's probably a pretty good way to learn the routing. I'm going to kind of explain some of the stuff I did that may or may not be like super obvious so that anybody can figure out what I'm doing to try to minimize the amount of distance I have to travel. Alright, so this is the very beginning. Your timer starts when that screen turns black. So what you're going to want to do here, as soon as I'm able to, I press my A key and then I whip my mouse to the left. Now I know I just got through saying that you want to be pressing your W key. The game spawns you in looking the opposite direction, right? So basically if I press my A key as I turn my mouse, I can actually get a little bit of distance, because if I'm turning my mouse to the left, right, and I'm holding my A key, then the character is going to move towards the goal that I want to go to. Obviously I want to get turned around and on my W key as fast as I can, but while I'm doing this mouse turn, I can hold down my A key and that'll get me a little bit of progress. Now, once I have that W key, I'm going to be shooting for this section of this green wall over here. I'm shooting for that section because there is a big old block behind this green wall, and I need to be able to get around that block. So that's why I'm going to be taking the shortest line possible, and obviously I have to guess because there's a big green wall blocking my line of sight. But I want to be taking the shortest line possible to the edge of that wall so I can get around it. So you'll see that I'll get myself lined up here, and I'm going to move pretty much as straight as possible. Obviously I'm shooting there to kill the soldiers so I don't get damaged. And then yeah, there's that wall I'm talking about right here. And one thing you should note, the physics objects in this game do not slow you down at all. I don't think they slow you down. They might. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It doesn't feel like they do. So I don't have any problem like even going blind for a little while here. Like I'm not panicking because this is in front of my face for so long. I don't have any problem jumping through it. You don't lose time by jumping through them. Getting around this wall right here. That's why I wanted to be pointed off to the right so that I could get around this. I'm gonna go around it. And then immediately you can see where the goal is over here. But I'm going to line myself up so that I can get around this as close as I can now. Another thing, these green walls explode from damage. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to stay as straight as possible, but I'm also trying to blow up these explosive barrels so that if these guys shoot these explosive barrels, I don't die with it. But the most important thing is that you get enough damage into this green wall so that it buckles and collapses. See how it buckles and collapses right there? That's because the wall took enough damage. You can deal that damage by blowing up the barrels next to it, or you can deal that damage by just shooting it. But you need it to buckle before you hit it, otherwise nothing will happen. And that's bad. You'll see as I come around here, I point to this wall right here. I want the shortest distance to that because the goal is to the right of here, but I need to get around it. If I were to go straight to the goal, that obviously wouldn't work. Now that I'm around it, I'm going to readjust and point myself directly at this yellow beacon in the sky there. So one of the things you might be wondering, how am I doing this flying thing? It's pretty easy. You just hold the space bar while you're in the air. One thing I did notice with this game, if you hold your space bar and just never let go of it, your character will stop at the apex of their jump and then glide. So if you want to get the maximum glide, just hold your spacebar and don't let go. The way you actually go to the next level once you're within these rings is by pressing R. When I'm in this range, and honestly probably more like when I'm here, I'm spamming the R key. I'm also getting ready to hit my split button as well. So I'm spamming my R key at this point so that I get it as fast as possible. So you hear that drum thing? You hit the split as soon as you hear the drum. You're going to want to go around this corner as close as possible, and then you'll see that I'm trying to get around this corner right here, and once I get around it, I'm going to be shooting for about right there on this block. So the goal is to get up onto this block because I'm going to jump here, here, and then up here, and you'll see what I mean when I do it. So I want to adjust. I'm jumping onto here. I'm not really worrying about angles there. I just want to make these jumps because the movement in this game is a little bit clunky. So just focusing on making these jumps right now because the record isn't really optimized at all. But once I get up here, I'm shooting to go around the right side of these boxes. Now, why is that? If I went around the left side of these boxes, I have to take an arc, and we don't want that. We want the straightest lines possible. So what I'm doing is I'm shooting for the very left of these boxes. I'm going to turn, and then I'm going to jump up onto this ramp. You can jump a lot higher in this game than you think you can. Trust me. You'll see here, I jump, and what I do is I actually hold it for the glide, and that's kind of why you can jump farther than you think. It's because of that glide mechanic. I don't know if you need to jump over these ledges. I tend to. I know they jerk your camera when you walk over them. I don't know if they lose you time or not. I'd have to measure it, and I don't feel like doing that. So, spawn into this level, immediate left turn. What I'm going to do is you can actually jump on top of this. You don't want to get caught on this lip. If you get caught on this lip, that's a problem. So you jump onto this, and then you jump over this lip. You'll see that here. And when you're jumping over the lip, once you make it onto here, you want to point yourself directly at this yellow beacon right here. Once you do that, you can kind of just hold your glide. If you start shooting soon enough, you can actually blow up these explosive barrels so that none of these other guys do it. And then you're also going to want to shoot that guy because he'll keep shooting you as you go through. And then pretty easy, just straight run to the finish there. Now this area is pretty easy. You just go straight, but you want to get as close as you can to this left side right here to get up and over the slip, because your goal is over to the left. And remember, straight lines are everything in this, right? So you want to get as close as you can while not running into the slip when you have to make the second jump. So you'll see what I'm talking about here. I didn't really do this in this, but when you make this second jump right here, you want to point yourself about probably right there. That's the direction you want to be pointing. Then you want to jump off the last section that you possibly can. And that'll probably be about right here. Because if you jump right here, you can actually glide over these boxes and up onto this ramp. And the reason you want to do that is because the next part on this ramp that you want to go to is actually between these two barrels. So if you hit right here on the ramp, you can actually jump again and get between those two barrels. And you'll see what I talk about as this continues. So I'm going to actually jump over those barrels here as a sort of demonstration. So now that we're here, we're going to land, and you can see the goals right here, right? You can't get enough glide in this route to actually make it all the way up. So you have to hit the ramp. So you hit the ramp, and then you turn, you jump again. You're going to jump over this cliff right here. You can see me readjust for that. You just hold. Now, one thing that can happen here, as we went over earlier, this red character that I'm using right now can spawn. If he spawns, for whatever reason the devs did a bad job implementing it, and it will cause a frame drop. If you get that frame drop, then basically your character will not be able to make this jump. For whatever reason, it moves you down a few units, and when that happens, it kind of screws you over. So if the world record's ever really tight, then that will be an RNG run killer. If that does happen right now and you're on a really good pace, your option is to go around, and you just want to go as far up on this ramp as you can. If you really want to optimize it, you want to drop yourself onto the ramp as soon as you can make the jump up here and go as direct as possible. It's kind of RNG whether or not the red guy shows up. He usually doesn't, so that's luckily not a big problem. But as long as he doesn't show up, you should be able to glide no problem. So you want to move your mouse to the left here on this level. Don't move it to the right like I did on my first few runs. The first thing you want to do is you're going to want to jump right here, and you're going to glide, and you want to aim for as close as you can to the left side of this door. You're going to see me do that. Gonna aim as close as you can to the left side of this door. And as soon as you get around this door, you're gonna want to point to as close as you can to the right side of this wall right here. And as soon as you get yourself oriented, start shooting, because you want to blow up these barrels, because sometimes the AI will blow these barrels up, and you don't want them doing that while you're right next to it. So the cool part about this, you can actually glide all the way over here, so don't worry about this ramp. You'll make it, trust me. As soon as you're around this wall, you want to point yourself at this pole right here, as far up this pole as you think you can get. Maybe you think you can get to here. I don't think you can, but maybe you do. As far up this pole as you think you can get, that's directly where you want to point. So you'll see me line myself up for that. I think I can get about here with it, so I line myself up there. And what you want to do with these poles is you want to cut them off. You don't want to go all the way here and then run all the way up it. That's a long path, because then you have to go all the way up it, and then you have to make a left turn, and then you have to make a left turn, and that sucks. You want to cut the pole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a straight line up this pole pretty much as fast as possible by jumping onto it and then jumping off of it. You'll see here, I jump onto it and I jump off of it. I'm cutting the corners, essentially. I'm going to cut that. And then this one's a little different. You actually want to kind of run up this a little. You're going to jump and hold glide. And what you're going to do is you want to land on this light right here. And you'll see why in a second. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to release on this light and then jump off of this light again. And I'm going to show you why that is. So you see me, I release and jump off the light. And that is because this big ramp right here is the way up to the goal. You'll see the goal is right here, right? So you have this big ramp, and you want to have as much height on this ramp as you can, because if you have a ton of height, then you can land really high up on the ramp like you see here. If you don't jump off that light, then you don't get the benefit of the height that this light provides. So you have to jump off that light if you want to be able to basically cut the corner on this ramp as tight as possible. So that means that when you're coming up here, you need to jump off this pole with the intention of dropping your glide onto this light. And then you can cut this corner as tight as possible if you jump off of that light. This level's fairly easy. I also think it's a great time to mention that when you load into these levels, do not be holding the keys down. Don't hold your W key down or your D key down or whatever you need to be doing. If you're holding your W key, the game won't let you move. You'll just be stuck. So you want to press that W key as soon as you can kind of see some things. As soon as stuff starts fading in, that's when you're good to hit that W key and start moving. But anyway, what you're going to see, I want to take this corner as tight as possible, point myself at this right here. Obviously I went wide here because I was excited about my run going well. So this is not optimal movement, but optimal movement would be taking this corner as tight as possible and immediately pointing directly right here. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to shoot these two bean guys, and then I'm going to jump as far up on this ramp as I think I can get. Now, I'm being really conservative with it. I could probably get up to like here if I really wanted to, but I jumped like there. So, I mean, if you want to save some more time, you can shoot for that area. Anyway, you jump up, and as soon as you're on this ramp, you want to point yourself at the goal. So I overshot, but you'll want to point yourself at the goal once you're on this ramp. So you can kind of run up the ramp a little, and then once you're at the top, you can just jump up, and glide over this. You want to get over this wall right here. You want to get over that wall and then let yourself drop. Now, if you don't let yourself drop, the hitbox for this goal is like, it stops like here. So you can actually fly over the hitbox. So be sure you drop to the ground. What you run into here at the ending is something similar to the beginning where I press my A key to get going faster. I do the same thing here because you spawn looking the wrong direction. You spawn here like that. So I immediately hit my A key so that I can start moving to the left, and then I transition that to my W key. And as you can see, I overshoot again and start spamming R, and that's the end of the run. So one of the things I did want to mention, that thing where you can hold your A key to sort of get a head start as you turn your mouse, also applies to this level right here. As you can see, it also spawns you looking the wrong direction for the level. So you can hit your A key, transfer that to your S key, and then you'll want to jump off the ramp. And then yeah, that's kind of an analysis of the whole world record so far, which doesn't really mean much. There's only 2 on the board. Actually, it might not even be on the board yet on speedrun.com. I just submitted this. But anyway, that's my analysis of how to do it. Look forward to seeing and having some competition. And yeah, hope you all have fun with it. See ya.